Hi everyone, today we talk about Boeing stock, and obviously this is the stock that's really dominated the headlines this week with a lot that's been going on with its aeroplanes. We're going to have a look into the news of why this has all happened. We're going to look at the fundamentals of the company, and then I'm going to talk about if I think it's a good opportunity to buy into the stock right now on this discount. Now, in case you've been living under a rock and you've not been watching any of the news this week, and you don't check any stock market apps, then Boeing stock has taken quite a bit of a beating. This is due to one of their planes had crashed, and previously the same plane had crashed, I think it was earlier on last year, and it's kind of like a little bit that's been looking at Boeing going, hold on, is these your planes that are causing all these problems? Is this something that couldn't be avoided? And the actual airplane is the MAX 8, and all of the MAX 8s pretty much got grounded everywhere around the world. Started off in a few countries and then it kind of just expanded everywhere. And the big thing about that for me is that if they've actually turned around now and gone, right, that plane is not allowed in our airspace, then it's something serious going on with the plane, and this could definitely be something that we see dragged out for quite a while. This is something that could impact the stock for quite a few months now. It's not something that we're going to just see go away after the weekend, and next week we won't hear about it anymore. There's going to be a proper investigation into Boeing and what's gone on here. Obviously Boeing have now said they're going to be releasing an update. This update should stop what's happened, and if this is something that could have been avoided by Boeing, and Boeing are going to release an update, and obviously if this is something that could have stopped what had happened with these crashes, obviously that's going to cause a bit of problem to the actual Boeing stock. Like I say, this is something that will drag on for a while, and because of all these airplanes, the MAX 8's getting grounded, then in the kind of like this year, this is obviously going to impact the stock on its EPS side, its revenue side. I saw a number, but I've totally forgot what it is. It was quite a lot of money. It was in the billions. That has already cost Boeing because of this. So obviously it's going to affect Boeing massively overall. And at the moment it's down 15%, and something like this I actually thought would be a lot more on the stock. I expected this to take about a 30% toll on the stock, which it hasn't done. So I think at the moment it's actually doing alright with all this. When you think about, like, Boeing could potentially have caused people to lose their lives, and it's something that they could have avoided, and the stock's only down 15%. It's a bit like, wow, like Facebook was down 30% because of people's data being lost, but people are actually losing their lives because of Boeing potentially, and that's only down 15%. Like I say, if more and more details come out, which I think they will do, I think Boeing, if their airplanes got grounded, there's going to be a serious problem with them airplanes that have been found out, which we don't know about yet, and the stock could go down a little bit more. Personally, at the moment, I always said, like, I reckon Boeing will get into the 340 range, and it has done. And then I said, right, probably looking towards now it going up to the 450 range. And for me, I don't want to get in them prices. For me, Boeing is when it gets to about the 350 and below. That's a buying opportunity in my point of view. So it has pulled it back nicely, which is really good for a little bit of a discount. The fundamentals of the company overall, I did do a Boeing video if it's a buy in 2019, so if you want a little bit more detail, go check that video out. But it's got a 20% EPS growth. The really impressive thing with Boeing right now is the dividend and buyback side of it. Like, they've seriously just smashed out of the park with how they're going about with the dividends and buybacks right now. PE is 20, which is quite a good PE for this company. Obviously, any other stock you're kind of like, oh, it's getting a little bit to the high side, but with Boeing, a 20p is quite okay. Like I say, I'd like it to go a little bit lower on the stock wise. I'd like it to drop a little bit lower, and that'll push the PE lower, but not too bad compared to what it's been. It's been like close to the 30s recently. It's on a discount, 15% discount. Obviously, the backlog of the orders, we're looking at a 7-year backlog now on these orders of planes, which is absolutely crazy going forward. Obviously, this is one of the short-term things. That backlog, we could see a couple of companies cancelling plane orders with Boeing because of this in the short term, and Airbus maybe getting a few of these orders or whoever. So obviously that's something you got to be a little bit careful of, but still a 7-year backlog isn't too bad. And obviously we've got Mr. D. Trump. He's in charge at the moment, and obviously he's quite big on his military orders right now, so that's obviously a good thing for Boeing. But like I say, could that affect Donald Trump's mind about going to Boeing for these orders? We'll have to see. Personally, I think it should be pretty safe, that one. But yeah, and obviously we've got with the increased amount of planes that are being used, you know, countries that are growing overall, needing more planes, the amount of planes that are being flown now keeps increasing every year. Like I said, I don't think that'll get affected too much, but something to also consider. You know, it's still in a growth sector overall. So kind of my feeling really on Boeing if I'm going to buy the stock. Personally, I've bought 3 stocks this week, which I'm going to make a video about next week about all the stocks. I'm going to do Adobe's earnings review on the weekend, and then next week I'll talk about the 3 stocks I bought this week. So I've been pretty heavy on the buying side this week. Boeing itself is quite a little bit of an expensive stock. Obviously it's on a little bit of a discount now. I normally don't buy any stocks until the end of the month, and I've kind of bought quite a lot this month. So I feel like Boeing could potentially have a lot more downside right now because of everything that's going to go on and information will come out. So at the moment, I'm personally not buying Boeing. I'll probably wait till next month and then decide from there. But I really like the stock. Like if I was to rate the stock, it would be a buy. I said last year, it's a buy in my opinion. Boeing. It's on a discount, which is great. So if you do want to jump in now, I won't blame you because it is on a little bit of a pullback. I just think personally, because of my situation, that I bought quite a few stocks this week, and I believe it could go down a little bit more. I'm willing just to wait out and see what happens. And if I do miss out, you know, it doesn't bother me. There'll be more opportunities that come up, but I would like to get to Boeing, but I probably won't be touching that stock until next month if I were to get into it. But like I say, if I do rate it as a buy, so if you do fancy a little bit of a discount in Boeing, you have got one now. Just be aware though, there could be in the short term there could be a little bit of a pullback, but for sure in the long term, you know, you're looking 2-3 years down the line. If you invest into this stock right now, I think you'll make a decent amount of money back on this stock, a bit of profit, and also you've got that great dividend growth that they have right now going on, which is fantastic. So that's talking about Boeing stock today, guys. I hope we gave you a bit more information if you're looking at getting in on this discount. I hope it helped you. Thanks for the support recently, guys. It's been amazing. Give the video a like. Nearly getting towards 200 subscribers, which I never thought we'd get to the 200 range. So if we can get there at some point before April or May, that would be pretty awesome if we could. So thank you for that, and I'll see you on the next video.